Welcome back to the VDJ80 build. As you can see, there's a lot going on. So in this episode, we're going to go through and we're going to do some new fuel lines. We're going to man up the turbo and the manifolds and the clutch and put the engine in for its last time in its final home, drop the cab down, do some body mounts and start to fit off and give you a wiring update. So let's get into it. All right, all nice and painted. Probably wondering why I didn't go the full chassis. I'm just time poor. So I can blend it in, and I blended it in and I'll clean up sort of the other sides of it and everything. But the main part of it was just to get all the raw metal painted. So I've done that now. So that's all good. It's bloody raining here today. I can't make its mind up whether it's sunny or raining. But I need to push it out in order to get the cab up, get access to the cab. Next job is the fuel lines. Now, the difference is the 80 series, so the 1HZ ran a 10mm supply line and a 6mm return line, right? And then so that goes there. And then we've got the two tanks, and then under here there's actually two solenoids. So there's the return solenoid and then there's the main solenoid. Now with regards to the 79 motor, I need to have a 12mm feed and a 10mm return. So what I'm going to do is use the old feed line, which is 10mm, as my return line, so that I only have to replace the feed line, which is now 12mm. Now what that means is I then have to look at these solenoids. Now these solenoids, they're the main one, so the feed one is currently a 12mm solenoid, so that's tick. But the return one is a 6mm solenoid, so that's no good for our 10mm return line. So I've had to buy a 79 series solenoid. So I'll replace the return solenoid, and then I will also sort of got to clean up all this crap in here and that, get rid of all the mud, and then I've got to run new hard lines. I'm going to run the new 12mm hard lines from here to there, and then I'll then also do another one which will go actually I might even just do that with hose, that one there. So yeah, I've just got to run all that line now. So that's going to be the next job today. So let's get into that, and then we'll see how long that takes us. That took me half a morning this morning to get all that cleaned up, get those last little bits and pieces welded on. I feel like I'm a little bit behind today. So anyway, let's keep going. All right. I've replicated the 6mm line, and I didn't record it because the profanities that were coming out of my mouth were probably not suitable for YouTube. So that I didn't enjoy doing that at all. Lucky anyway, it's done. So I'm gonna go and try and fit this up now. But anyway, that's what the end product looks like. happy Father's Day. When this post, it won't be Father's Day, but it is actually Father's Day today. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Where did we get to yesterday? So we got the fuel, the hard lines done. So all the hard line, that's all. So yeah, 12 mil hard line all through. So that's all in. And then I've started to clean up the solenoid situation. So what I'm going to do is, well, the other thing as well, because I'm running the 79 solenoid, fuel return solenoid, the 80 series main one is a 12 mil one, so I didn't need to replace that, which is cool. But I put the 79 one on, but they mount in a different location. So what Off-Track Concepts have done is, again, as part of the kit, they make a little bracket that's just a piece of 2 mil alley, and you can mount the 79 solenoid and then you mount it to the 80 series bracket to then put everything back in the same orientation, which is pretty cool. So what I'm going to do today, I've actually got to wait for Repco to open because I realised I didn't have any hose, any fuel hose. So I've got to go down and get some fuel hose this morning. What the original stuff is they have different hoses and different fuel, like hard lines and everything like that. There's all the big configuration under here. I'm just going to simplify it and just run it all as hose, and I'll just P-clamp it all up out of the way. So yeah, I'm just going to put a heap of hose through here now just to connect everything up. So how they work, so these solenoids, you've got the main tank and the sub tank, and it's all controlled by a switch in the dash. Because it's all suction fed system, it doesn't require fuel pumps or anything like that. All it does is when you hit the button, these solenoids go one way or another, and it just means that it's going to suck from either tank. So what we have is these two ones here go to the front to where it feeds to the engine. And then this one here goes to the main tank, this one here goes to the main tank, this one here and this one here go to the rear tank. So pretty simple setup. But yeah, that's what we've got there. The last little bits of the engine, I've got to put the manifolds on, the turbo on, the crossover pipe. I want to change the alternator bolts because the front two bolts are actually studs. So I've been thinking if I'm on $1,000 track and I need to replace that alternator, I won't be able to have the clearance. If the studs are in there, I won't have the clearance to be able to get the alternator off past the chassis rail. So I'm going to replace them with bolts so that then I can then just unbolt it and just drop straight down, and it's actually easier to replace than an 80 series alternator. So how good's that? So I've got to do that. The the oil sender. That's it. So what that is originally it mounts under here. So standard, that oil sender goes in there, but as you can see, it drops down, and I've got the panhard cross member there. So what I've done is I've taken that nut out, which goes into the same gallery, drilled and tapped, and now I've just got to put that on. But because that's sensitive, I want to put that on after the engine's mounted again. But yeah, I've just got to put that in there, so that, and then lengthen that little bit of wiring to go into there. That's another little bit. So yeah, so we've got a little bit to do today, but if we can get the engine mounted in, that will be pretty much a win for today, I think. The other part is I want to go and finish off the wiring actually while the cab's still off. I've got easy access into the engine bay, so I actually probably want to rerun all those wires and that now. The other thing as well is I still am running this factory insulation, like the heat sort of shield insulation and that. Well, one, it perishes, so the ends sort of come apart, so there's not really that good anymore. But two, the engine like literally sits against it. That's how close tolerance we have. So I'm gonna take all that off, I'll clean all that up, and then that'll be ready for when we put the engine in. So yeah, a few little bits and pieces, but let's keep going. It took me 20 minutes to get that in, but anyway. Some other things to look at. So this is that notch in the chassis. So I've just got to do that bracket up, so that won't be sitting on there, but that's where the notch is. So you can see still how close the turbo is to the chassis. So they only just fit in there. This is talking about shoehorning. Putting these pipes on is going to be fun, that one and that one. I'll be able to get in there to be able to put them on, so that will be okay. But yeah, it's in there for the final time. I did forget to take that. Yeah, I forgot to take that out, didn't I? I was going to replace these because these two are studs. The front two are studs, and then these ones are bolts. Because as you can see, there ain't much room on that side. Oh, you know what I haven't done as well? I haven't put the steering box on. See, this is what happens when you rush. You don't think. Last little job, I'm just rerunning these. So I've got the diff breather, the rear diff breather, and the line for the rear air locker. Got to move it onto this side because it can't run up that way because of the turbo, so I've got to run it this way. Plus I'm moving the compressor onto this side anyway because that side's now got the new fuel filter and that on it. So yeah, moving it to this side, and then I'll just move the breather side to this side as well. So this is the last little job. So the transfer case is bolted up. Cool thing is 79 series gearbox bolts up to the 80 transfer case. I don't have to change tail shafts. Everything else works, which is great. So yeah, just doing this last little job now, and then I can drop the cab down and see how much I've got to cut on the firewall. The one cool thing is this crossover pipe. This crossover pipe is a piece of kit. So I don't know how much, I can't remember how much I've actually spoken about it already, but yeah, to get the ends 3D printed to tuck it right into the engine, I'm hoping I don't have to do too much to the firewall. So last little job, I was putting on all the intake pipes and everything like that. And this one is for the outlet on the turbo. So this goes up to the intercooler, and it doesn't fit in in the strut tower. I can't put it on while the engine's in, so I'd have to take it out and put it on. But I spoke to Hagen at Off Track Concepts, and what he does is he countersinks the top bolts, and then we can put it on. So what I've actually done is I've just trimmed off a little bit of the top mount, just trimmed it down a bit to give me some clearance on the strut. I'll just have to go down to the nut and bolt shop and get up some 50mm countersunk nuts, but then as you can see it'll sit flat, and then I'll be able to put that on. So that's literally the last little bit, but that's not going to prevent me from putting the cab down. So I'm just going to keep cracking on, because I've got to go down and get some new silicone hoses and everything like that anyway. So I'm trying to get a big list together, and then I can go down at once. So anyway, that's an important one. Yeah, I know he did say to me, if you had a milling machine, you'd mill probably 5mm off the base of it. But you know, I think this is going to be a good solution anyway. Countersink them, put countersunk bolts in. I'll have to drill 2 little holes in the strut tower. That way, when they're in, I can then just zip it up with an Allen key, so I can get access to that. So anyway, let's keep going and get this body down. See, I just can't help myself. When everything's pulled apart this much, I've got to clean it. I can't just let it be muddy before I put everything back together. So I'm putting new body mounts in just before, obviously, because I got the cab up. So, you know, 31-year-old body mounts. What amazes me is the difference in size. So these are the middle ones, and have a look at the size difference there from a new body mount to one that's 31 years old. So that's cool. I get like a ½ an inch body lift just by doing the body mounts. How cool is that? Update time on the wiring. So if you remember last episode, I started the wiring and I was just chopping bits and pieces out, going wire by wire by wire. I haven't filmed anything to do with this because it's really just me going through, finding a wire, looking at the manual and working out whether I'm keeping it or not, which is pretty boring stuff, so I haven't bothered to bore you guys with that. But what I want to do is bring you up to speed where I'm up to. So I've got 4 different things that I'm looking at. So this is an old workshop manual that I've had for different 80s over the years. It's basically like what's this one? A Haynes one, but it's an older, really older school one, but it's for a 1FZ. But I really like the wiring diagrams in it. So all the body loom stuff, I keep referring back to this one. Then I've got this one, which is for the 1HZ engine. The wiring diagrams in this one are just horrible. They make no sense at all. I literally just used one. That was the glow plug circuits and that. So that was really useless, that one. So I'm glad that one's turf now. Hagen has given me, so Hagen at Off Track Concepts, he's given me some factory sheets, the factory wiring diagrams and that, which I've used to a point, but I find them pretty hard to understand, or harder to understand than the Haynes manual that I've got for the 79 series. So this one I've actually found is really handy because it's even got all the pins that it goes into the different ECU plugs and everything like that. So this has been a really handy book to use. And what I've done is I'm highlighting everything that I need to keep. So when I do up the loom, I can then just run through the highlighter and tick them off to go, yep, I've got that, I've got that, I've got that. So I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but it's going to be as close to perfect as possible. Now, with all that said, I've probably put a good 20 hours into this loom. Yep, probably about that. And it looks like there's a lot here. Guess what? All of this, all of that, junk. Of that, that's all I'm keeping. So I'm using the body loom that I've already got in the 80 series to run the car effectively, with the exception of I've taken out the alternator and the glow plug circuits, like all the glow circuits and everything like that. So I've basically removed all of that from the body loom already, and I'll put that back in. And so this here is effectively just the engine loom. So everything to control the engine, that's what this is. So what I've done is as I've cut things, and like I've been tracking it through the book, I've just been labeling the ends of them so that I know exactly where it goes. And so what the plan's going to be now is I've got a new fuse panel, which I've mounted next to the existing body loom panel. And I'm just about to just go and wire this up now. So it should come together fairly quickly. And then I'll show you the final product once it's finished. And then hopefully I can plug it in and it all just works. That'd be a really nice little thing, isn't it? But yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. But yeah, I just wanted to show that, and I'll do a full picture of, you know, all the wires that were cut out. What I just threw out then is only half the body loom. There was another part of it that went to it as well. So basically most of it you just turf in the bin because I just don't need it. So anyway, I'll get to doing this and we'll go and put it in the car.